All right, everybody, deep dive time. And today we are tackling a topic that I think a lot of you can relate to. We are talking about childhood aggression.
Yeah.
So, that feeling when your kid is like channeling their inner Incredible Hulk, you're
Right.
just like, where's the pause button?
Exactly.
So, we're going to try to, arm you with some tools, give you some strategies today.
Absolutely. And it's such a critical topic because, those early years are so foundational
Yeah.
for kids developing those emotional regulation skills and for us as we learn how to best support them. Because it's not always easy.
Not at all. It is definitely a learning curve.
It is.
So let's jump right in. What is like one of the biggest mistakes we make as adults when we are dealing with a child who is having a meltdown?
Okay, well, I think a really common one is that our instinct is to shut down the aggression immediately, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because it makes us uncomfortable
Yeah.
and because we want to get the situation under control. But actually, it can be one of the least effective approaches.
Interesting. So like stop crying or you're being ridiculous or whatever.
Yeah, like calm down, or that's not a big deal.
Right, right.
But the thing is, when a child's brain is in that state of stress, it's like their upstairs brain, where all that logic and reasoning happens, is temporarily offline.
Seriously, so they're literally like not processing what we're saying.
Exactly. We're trying to have a conversation with a brain that's on a completely different wavelength, and that's why, you can feel like you're talking to a brick wall sometimes.
Oh my gosh, 100%. Yes, I've been there.
So instead of trying to reason with them in that moment, a more effective approach is to start by acknowledging their feelings. And I don't mean that we condone the behavior,
Right.
but we acknowledge the feeling behind the behavior.
So it's like, I get it, you're angry versus stop being angry.
Exactly. You're sending a signal that you see them, you hear them, you get them, and that can actually help to bring their logical brain back online because they feel heard and understood.
Okay, that is so interesting because it really is that shift from because I said so to I see where you're coming from.
Right.
But then, obviously we have to address the behavior.
Right. Yeah.
So how does that work? Because, acknowledging feelings is one thing, but what happens when my kid is like about to launch their dinner across the room?
So that's where setting those clear and consistent boundaries comes in. And I really want to emphasize the consistent part because kids thrive on routine and predictability.
Yes, they do.
So it's not enough to just say no throwing one day and then let it slide the next. You need to be firm and consistent with your limits.
Okay, so give me an example then. What's like a practical phrase that we can use when we are in that moment and the metaphorical plate is about to fly across the room?
Okay, so instead of just no throwing, you might say something like, I see that you're really angry right now, but it's not okay to throw your plate. If you do that again, you're going to have to take a break from dinner.
Okay, so it's like we're not just shutting down the behavior, but we're giving them an alternative.
Yeah, and over time, as they start to connect the dots between their feelings and their actions, they're actually building essential self-regulation skills.
Hmm.
And those are going to serve them well beyond childhood.
That's huge,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what we want to equip them with, not just to survive a tantrum, but to actually like thrive emotionally.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about like staying calm, acknowledging their feelings, setting those clear boundaries.
Right.
What else is there? Because this is complex stuff.
It is complex, and every child is different, every situation is different. But another key piece is to model the behavior that we want to see.
Okay, so like we can't be, losing our cool and yelling at them to calm down.
Exactly, because kids are little sponges. They're watching,
Yeah.
and they are learning from us, even when we don't realize it.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly yelling or slamming doors when we're upset, they're going to pick up on those behaviors.
And that takes me back to what you were saying about how important consistency is.
Right, exactly.
Because if we are saying, use your words, but we are not using our words,
Yeah.
they're going to call us out on it, and rightfully so.
They will. They are little hypocrisy detectors.
Yes, they are. That's a good way to put it.
And it's not about being perfect. We're all human. We're all going to lose our cool sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
But it's about trying our best and showing them that it's okay to make mistakes. And it's how we handle those mistakes that matters.
Yeah, it's that whole modeling thing again. Okay, so we're modeling those positive behaviors. We are setting those clear boundaries. We are acknowledging their feelings. What else?
So another important tip is to teach kids alternative ways to express their anger and frustration. So we want to give them a toolbox of healthy coping mechanisms.
Like what? What are some examples?
So instead of hitting when they're angry, you might encourage them to Draw a picture of how they're feeling, or to go for a run outside, or to squeeze a stress ball, even just taking a few deep breaths.
Yeah, deep breaths are magical.
They are.
They work for adults too.
Absolutely. And the more we can equip them with these tools, the better prepared they'll be to navigate those challenging emotions in a healthy way.
And I would imagine the more we can prevent those like epic meltdowns, right? Because if they have those tools,
Exactly.
they can like self-regulate a little bit better.
And that sense of agency, of being able to manage their emotions,
Yeah.
is so empowering for kids.
Absolutely.
It really builds their confidence and their self-esteem.
Okay, so this has been so helpful.
Oh, good.
Like, I feel like I have some concrete things that I can work on
I hope so.
when it comes to, dealing with these aggressive behaviors in a more like, positive and productive way.
Right, because it's not about, creating perfect little robots. It's about giving them the tools to understand and manage their emotions.
Yeah, because feelings are never wrong.
Exactly.
It's how we express them that can be right or wrong or appropriate or inappropriate.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up, is there like one final thought that you want to leave our listeners with when it comes to, navigating this whole world of childhood aggression?
I would say, as challenging as it can be to deal with those big feelings and those aggressive behaviors, it's important to remember that it's a normal part of child development.
It is.
And with patience and understanding and the right tools, we can help our kids learn to navigate those emotions in a healthy and positive way.
I love that. That is a great place to end it. Thank you so much for this deep dive today.
You're welcome. It was great being here.
This has been so, so helpful, and I know it will be for our listeners as well.
And remember, one small step at a time. You don't have to do everything perfectly right away.
Absolutely. Progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this step dive. But for all of you listening, think about what's one little thing that you can do differently today to apply one of these tips and to, start to make a positive shift in how you're handling those moments of aggression.
You got this.
We're all in this together. You got this. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.